Hello and welcome to my video on the 3 elements of emotion. What is emotion? Emotion is defined as the feeling aspect on consciousness. Emotion is characterized by 3 elements: a physiological response or arousal, an emotional expression that reveals the emotion to other people, and having an inner awareness of the feeling and labeling it. The arousal is created by the sympathetic nervous system as a physical response to experiencing emotion. The arousal can be an increased heart rate, increased breathing rate, your pupils might dilate, or you might get a dry mouth. Multiple emotions might have similar physiological responses, but we are able to tell them apart based on their facial expressions. There are many areas of the brain that are involved in emotional arousal. The amygdala is the main area of arousal and is a small area in the limbic systems of each hemisphere. The amygdala is associated with fear and pleasure and is involved in the facial expressions of human emotions. Damage to one's amygdala means one cannot remember to be afraid, so they can't be conditioned to fear new objects. Also, one cannot determine emotions from looking at other people's facial expressions. The low and high roads are also heavily involved with emotional arousal. Emotional stimuli travel to the amygdala through the low and high roads. The low road is a pathway underneath the cortex. It's fast and simple, which allows for quick responses to stimuli. This is also the primary pathway for people who have anxiety disorders. The high road uses the cortical pathways. It is slower and more complex, which allows us to recognize the threat and take more conscious control of our emotional responses. Research states that emotions may work differently depending on which half of the brain is involved. It is said that interpreting facial expressions as a certain emotion seems to be processed more by the right hemisphere. It was found that different areas of the brain are involved in different types of emotional processing, and that different areas take primary control depending on how you control your emotions, and that some areas might overlap to handle many strategies. Generally, the area responsible for emotional control is also responsible for control of non-emotional information. Facial expressions, body movement, and actions are indicators of how others feel. Facial expressions can vary across cultures, but some aspects are universal. Also, the ability to correctly read someone else's facial expressions varies based on your age group. For example, children are not able to identify negative emotions as well as they can identify positive emotions. There are 7 universal facial expressions. They are anger, fear, disgust, happiness, surprise, sadness, and contempt. Display rules are learned ways of controlling your displays of emotions in social settings, and these vary depending on your culture and gender. For example, in the United States, we are very individualistic, so we think of ourselves more than others. But in Japan, they are collective, meaning they think more of a community of people first, and then of themselves. Another example of display rules is how Japanese people are very calm and stoic in public, but at home they are freer to show expressions to others. Subjective labeling is interpreting your emotions and giving it a name. The labeling process is a matter of retrieving your emotions from a previous similar experience, then perceiving the context of the emotion, and then coming up with a solution or label. The label is chosen by a person, and that is part of a learned response that is influenced by their language and culture. An interesting fact that I discovered while researching this topic is that older people are more positive than young adults, who are more positive than children. The article said that this was because older people know that they have a limited time left in life, so they have more motivation to feel positivity. And those are my resources. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!